Chad was convicted and he's on death row now.
I understand that, yeah.
But
They have some fascinating stories.
How could you possibly think that Chad would be exonerated?
Welcome to Chasing a Murderer, and you heard in Kieth Morrison's voice right there. How could you possibly believe this nonsense spewing out of your mouth? And I have some great clips that I'm going to share with you guys today to explain and answer some of those questions. So Lori Vallow has a Dateline interview coming up tonight, and there's been a mass increase of interest in this case once again. People want to know just how much crazier can this story get. Let's jump back to Lori Vallow's sentencing, what she had to say in her statement.
The truth of what happened here. Jesus Christ knows that no one was murdered in this case. Accidental deaths happen. Suicides happen. Fatal side effects from medications happen. I have a different perspective in life because in 2002, when I was pregnant with Tylee, I died in the hospital while in labor with her. They tried to stop my labor. They put me on the table and they put something in my IV, and I felt my spirit falling to the floor. I was standing near my pregnant body, watching the doctors try to revive me, which took them a few minutes. In that time, my sister Stacy was standing to my left. I turned to hug her and was surprised that her spirit was as tangible as a physical body, because I knew I was in spirit and she was in spirit. She said she needed to show me some things, and we went to heaven. I later returned to my body. Because of this experience, I have access to heaven and the spirit world. Since then, I have had many communications from people now living in heaven, including my children, Tylee Ashlyn and Joshua Jackson, my sisters, Stacy and Lolly, my aunts and my uncles, and my grandparents.
Months after her incarceration and she was sent to Arizona, she talked to Colby Ryan, her actually surviving child, and she tells him lightly what happened to Tylee and JJ, that it wasn't murder, that Tylee had taken JJ's life by accident, and that she had taken her own life. I'm sure Kieth Morrison is going to work on this, but will he get anything from it? Let's listen to Colby's phone call.
I knew Tylee had been upset, and I knew that she was upset with me that weekend because she wouldn't stay at the house because I Melanie Gibb stay there. She hates Melanie Gibb, as you know. Everyone knows this. She hated her. And she couldn't stand her smell because she had the essential oils, and Tylee got sick off these. She didn't want to stay there. So I asked her to babysit JJ, put him to bed that night, which is what she always has done, right? She was going to sit in bed. I was going to do my podcast with stupid Melanie and Dave, right? So JJ wouldn't interrupt it. And then I was picking him up in the morning to get him ready and take him to school. And when I came in on that scene and they were gone, I thought Tylee did it to get back at me. I thought it was all my fault. I thought she was mad at me, and that's what had happened. And the reason why she visited me and why JJ visited me and came to me right after that is because to tell me that it wasn't my fault, because I was blaming myself 100%. 100%. Why didn't I get Tylee more help? Why did I let her get off of her meds? Why did I not do something different? Why did I let Melanie get to stay here? Why did I do any of these things that would lead to this? How could it possibly have happened? Why and how? Why and how? I mean, you can't even is like. No one on the earth can imagine what that's like.
You're telling me that Tylee took JJ's life and then took her own life?
On accident.
And took her own life then? After? So who chopped and burned her? And who duct taped JJ and put him in the ground?
So Keith will get a version of this story just like Colby did. And poor Colby, he learned basically his whole entire life was a lie. And how does Lori feel about losing control of him? Well, she doesn't seem to show any emotion. What you notice in that interview is that she only cares about her story being pushed into his head. And I guess that's what you're going to see with Kieth Morrison. This is the empty shell of a son she left from all tragedy.
I guess I always was like a very positive, see the best in people kind of person. Mm-hmm. And then I watched someone that I knew my entire life, do what she did, and it just changed the way I view people.
It all starts at 8 right here on 12 News.
Right now, Lori Vallow has a new trial coming up. She has to face charges against her ex-husband now, while she was widowed, Charles Vallow. She's accused of taking part in the conspiracy to take his life. Also, her nephew-in-law, Brandon Boudreaux, they attempted to shoot him as well, allegedly. Lori Vallow is representing herself. She will defend herself, and she has shown them that she's probably not capable of doing so, but she feels like she's got the upper hand. And we've heard several people kind of laugh at her as she tried to fill those shoes.
Boy, oh boy, is she something else. I mean, she really thinks she's equipped to try this case. I have a clip for you, Kevin, on one of her recent hearings where she talks about studying the law.
Can you just tell me a little bit why you want to represent yourself?
Yes, Your Honor, for the past 5 years that I've been incarcerated, I have taken upon myself to study case law and criminal rules of procedure in the state of Idaho and Arizona, as well as federally. Prior to that, for the last 10 years, prior to my incarceration, I did study procedure in family law, and I have real trial experience. I have participated in 3 different full trials from beginning to end.
Oh, somebody give her a bar card, huh, Kevin? Yeah. She's ready to go, isn't she?
Immediately that day that she had not really represented herself well from the very beginning, and everybody knows that you don't speak to media before a trial. And this is something she's chosen to do, and what's her purpose? Well, you can believe that there's some kind of plan involved. A manipulation tactic. It's also an opportunity to preach to the world. While 98% of the people listening will think she's Looney Tunes, there's still that 2% that might write in and say that they will follow her. I think the sad part about this case is people are treating some of these murderers like celebrities. And we're wondering, are they getting rewarded for these interviews? Are they getting paid? Listen, Lori has a plan, and she's going to stick to it, no matter which direction Kieth Morrison is going to try to lead her. Is Kieth Morrison strong enough to push her the right direction? Well, I guess we'll find out tonight.
After what happened?
The same way I will be exonerated. We will both be exonerated in the future.
Because?
I have seen things in the future that Jesus showed me when I was in heaven.
Uh-huh.
And we were not in jail. And we were not in prison. And they were still in the future from now.
Asked whether she wanted to do a little interview with me, and she said yes, she would like to do that. So we found ourselves there talking to a very interesting person.
That was an interview with Tram. But Kieth Morrison also did an interview with Nate Eaton from East Idaho News. Interestingly, Kieth Morrison said he got 90 minutes with her, which is kind of odd. He said he would feel lucky if he got 30 minutes, but 90 minutes was wow. For some of you ladies out there who want to talk about her makeup, well, you can see that she's sporting T-Mobile reds on her cheeks, probably toothpaste on her eyes. Who knows? Who knows how she got those dark eyebrows? Share it in comments below. Let's listen.
Lori can interview with us, and the jail says it's okay. They're going to give us 90 minutes, and I was astonished, frankly. Usually, as you know, you go to interview somebody in a prison or a jail, they'll maybe give you half an hour, lucky, or an hour if you got to do a whole kind of camera setup and so on. But no, 90 minutes. So I thought that would be plenty of time to get what we needed from anybody, but it turned out it wasn't enough to get what we needed from Lori. Well, I could have gone on with her for a lot longer.
Right. And Kieth, she had mentioned to me at one point she wanted to talk to you before she was sentenced here in Idaho, but they wouldn't let cameras into that.
Oh, that's right. Yes, there was that discussion. Yeah.
Right. So she obviously has been thinking about chatting with you for some time, for years now. So, the broad question is, what was it like being there face to face with her and trying to interview her?
Well, she came in, she winked at our cameras on the way in. She was upbeat, she was charismatic, she was friendly, she was practically flirtatious. There was an undercurrent of anger in what she was saying. She, I think, felt aggrieved about a good many things. And she bounced all over the map in discussion of those topics. But she had her own agenda, and she knew exactly how long she had. She's no dummy. And I think she had decided ahead of time that she was going to tell this shaggy dog tale that would take up the time. I wouldn't be able to ask all my embarrassing questions. And she could lay out this, frankly, big lie about what happened to Tylee and JJ. But it would require such a big workout. She'd have to tell the whole kind of life story of her daughter, Tylee.
So there you go. Lori, who looks like she's aged quite a bit, acting like she's still young and glamorous, winks at the camera, flirtatious, and feels like that she's trying to get her way and swoo people. I give her an A- for trying. But all these characteristics, these things that you're hearing people talk about Lori and what she's like, you can understand this is who she was her entire life, and this is how she dealt with people. Kieth Morrison had serious concerns about her justice and the fact that she's representing herself. He also hinted that he believed that she could be mentally ill and that the justice system should be considering that. He's not alone. We've all considered that she may be mentally ill. But when you hear her talk to Colby Ryan, her excuse for what happened to Tylee JJ was no longer zombies and delusion. It was a flat-out lie.
And spins and tales about that, for which no evidence, right? And that the chore was to kind of get her off that train track and get her onto what we wanted to talk about, and a good deal of the kind of combativeness back and forth was in that process.
I've spoken with people who have dealt with her legally, you could say, also family members, and from what they've told me, their conversations with her sound like your conversation with her, that she speaks about what she wants to talk about, and even answers to simple questions are not given.
Right. And, a psychiatrist would have a field day with her, and I'm sure they did, when they sent her off to that mental institute, the state hospital, right, to be treated. And they said she had delusions and delusional disorder. Was there some specific religious component to it? And that's certainly there. but it's pretty deeply seated as far as I can tell. And I'm often curious about when does the legal system feel that somebody really is mentally ill, and what effect should that have on crime and punishment? It's different in different countries and different jurisdictions. I mean, she's going on trial again for the murder of her husband. And will that become part of the defense? If I were her defense attorney, I would say yes, but she's her own defense attorney, and she ain't going to say that at all. She doesn't see herself as mentally ill. She sees herself as the only one who has the key to the truth. She wants everybody to know what the truth is.
So there you go. She wanted everybody to know her truth, not the truth, in other words. What do you expect to hear tonight on Dateline? Share it in the comments below. Do you think Kieth Morrison will be able to control Lori's direction in this interview? Please take a moment to subscribe, like, share, and don't forget about our girls out there that are missing. Love you guys, and I'll see you guys soon.